like there's no tomorrow.
Welcome to the Bingking podcast.
Hey everyone, I have Michael from Dada here with me. Michael, how are you?
Good, thanks for having me. It's
Thank
good
you
to
for
meet
coming. I appreciate it. I know I'm all the way out in Pudong, so it's a little bit out of your way.
It's a nice day out. It was nice to
Beautiful. But then I would rather have this outside, you know? I'm actually thinking about that.
that would be nice.
Yeah. Just
for
do a
that
little
2-week window of time in Shanghai when the weather's okay. Enjoy it.
Yeah. So I normally tell my guests that this is, it's been a long time. We've never met before.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess tell everyone a little bit about what you do here in Shanghai, and then we should start from there.
Okay. Let's see. I come from Northern California, San Francisco,
Cool.
and I came to China in during SARS, 2003. So it's
Long time ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's been 20 years, but I've come and gone over the years a lot.
Yeah.
During that time. But basically, I moved here 20 years ago.
Right.
So,
So you must like it here at least, right?
yeah, I do. I mean, like anywhere, your passion comes and goes. You have bad days, and you're like, I gotta leave,
course.
But I really do like it here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really feels like home, and I think I'll always at least have one foot
Around here.
Yeah.
I got you. That's awesome. Because I remember Dada around the time that I was hanging out at Shelter. Like it was always Shelter or Dada were kind of like my go-to places.
Yep.
When I first got to Shanghai and just kind of hung out. It was a little bit more, I don't want to say grimy, but it was less like pretentious,
Yeah.
And so there were places that I would rather go to and just to hang out as opposed to, I don't know, like a Mint or
You're not entertaining clients. Or
No,
something.
I'm not. Right. It was just a less pretentious place to hang out.
Yeah.
But you guys have a new Dada, and I want to know kind of the path from old one to new one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, the first one we started in 2009, and it was really good timing because it was right before the World Expo.
Oh yeah,
in 2010
right.
in Shanghai. So
And it was right after Olympics, right?
yeah. So it was really good because we got lucky timing, and we became kind of a go-to place.
Yeah.
After the expos, and it was so much fun because it'd be like randomly, like Monday night it was like the Mexican delegates, and Tuesday would be Cuba or what,
that's right.
just random countries. Wednesday's Germany, blah blah blah, you
Right.
know, and it was cool because those countries were flying out all these music talents. And thank you to the taxpayers of all these countries.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was lucky timing. So anyway, that was 2009, and then
Well, hold on. So all of these, I guess, artists, did a lot of them play at Dada?
Yeah. It was like 7 days a week.
Oh my God, that's
for half
awesome.
a year. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was silly. We had like a 12-piece band in there one time.
That's incredible.
It was just so much fun. And,
Sounds like such a good time.
yeah.
Oh man, and they would be from all over the world, so you would get
Yep.
a whole, I guess, worldview on music. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it was like 150 countries at the
Yeah,
expo or something.
you can't get that anymore.
No,
No.
it was really a magic moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good for business at the time.
Of course,
so.
it had to be. Like, what did that kind of paint this is what Dada is going to be like picture?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really intended like that,
Right.
but it became like, for years after that, we had a very international crowd that came in.
Right.
It was probably 50% Chinese and then 50% foreigners from all over. So that was really, really cool. There weren't many places in Shanghai that sustained that for a while after the expo. But, that was years ago. And now, even before COVID, our audience is 99% Chinese, which is fine. That's what we always really wanted. We didn't want to be an expat bar,
Right.
So, that's one of the changes that's happened over the years. Gradually, yeah.
I know you put that in quotes. I just want to dig a little deeper. What do you mean? What do you mean by expat bar?
Well,
I know.
I guess it's a little. Some people have a problem with the term, whatever.
I got you.
Call it what it is.
Right.
So yeah, but anyway, that's one of the changes that's happened over the years. So Anyway, the original space, the Dada Shanghai, it was weird timing because we had a dispute with the landlord. It's a long story.
Who has it, right?
Yeah, and it was going on for years where they're like, we're gonna kick you out one of these days, but you never knew. Like, I wanted to buy a new sound system or furniture, yada yada, but we were like, what's the point if we're gonna get kicked out next month? And this went on for like 3 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was really.
What was the reasoning? Was it just too loud?
It's one of
noise
those
complaints?
No.
No?
It was one of those things. You know how there's like one landlord and then there's another landlord, and then they
gotcha.
were fighting.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to us in Beijing with the Dada Beijing.
Okay.
So we eventually got kicked out of there too. But the timing was awkward because it was 2020. I think it was January 15.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, everybody was like, "Did you hear about this virus in Wuhan?"
Yeah.
And it was like we had our grand closing party, and our last night, and then it was the next day.
Jeez.
When they closed all the bars, so it was weird timing. It was like
Perfect
the last
timing.
Yeah. So,
I do vaguely remember that. I know of Dada mainly because we have a mutual friend, Jody, right?
Oh, yeah.
Jody and I have been friends for a pretty long time.
Cool,
And,
me too. Yeah, she used to work with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that you said that because I think a lot of people always say, oh, she used to work for us. And you were just like, oh, she worked with us. I love that. But anyways, Jody was always at Dada, and she would always, run some events there. And it was always a very cool place to hang out.
Yeah.
And so when you guys
It
had
still
that,
is.
I haven't been back, so I don't know. I hear you guys have a really good Negroni, from Al.
We do. Yeah. Well, Negronis specifically. When the first lockdown happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get back to studying Chinese, and I'm gonna do yoga. And
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I was dedicated for a few days to that, and then I was like, I should try making different kinds of Negronis at home, and experimenting with different gins and vermouths, and that just took over.
Oh, that's great.
I got really nerdy. I was buying like oak barrels on Taobao and like, I'm gonna age Negronis at home. So yeah, we have a decent Negroni on the menu now.
Cool. So what prompted you guys to, I guess, open the new place?
Well, we lost that original location.
Right.
So we were like, all right, well, let's find a new one. It took a year and a half. We saw like 150 places. Jeez. It was grueling. And this was like during COVID, 2020. So it was frustrating. And we finally found the new location. And luckily the rent's cheap because we had to close for half of the time we've been open at the new one. So luckily we started to pay rent, but luckily it could have been a lot worse.
Right.
But anyway, during that time we opened Dada in Kunming.
Oh.
So I spent like most of 2020 in Kunming.
Why?
Yeah.
Kunming is such a
well, yeah, I ask myself that often, but it was because we had like a friend of my business partners had a space already, and he was like, let's make half of it into, it was a beer bar, so it was like, let's make half of it into a Dada,
right? And
like, so we were like, yeah, why not? Let's do it.
What does being a Dada entail? Like,
well, it's it's a DJ bar, DJ club, and it's focused on underground music, alternative music, So that's the vision for it, and that's it.
I get that. That seems about right,
Yeah.
That's kind of held through since I've known.
Before we had a reputation as being a dive bar.
Yeah.
And
that was definitely one of the
proudly. Yeah. But we actually have pretty decent drinks, and especially the new one, because the market's changed and people expect a decent Negroni and yada yada. So, and the toilets are much cleaner.
I got you.
So, but it's still got a lot of vibes from the old place. We're trying to make a balance,
Yeah. I don't know. I like the dive bar feel. I guess it's just because I grew up, in New Jersey. We have a lot of dive bars, and even like I came pretty soon after college, so I didn't
Right.
have like a lot of chances to really, I don't know. I did a little bit of clubbing, but I always liked that college dive bar kind of feel.
Yeah.
And so it was always something that drew me to you guys, right? Especially like when you guys had really cool DJs, it was just, I don't know, it's just a good night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And I think, is it harder now to get like outside DJs? Because I almost see that as like zero now.
Yeah, well, leading up to COVID, we were doing a lot. Like, it
Yeah.
was 3 or 4 every week because we, Beijing, Shanghai, you do a weekend.
Yeah.
And so it was super fun, but also just exhausting to be hosting a different music act every 4 nights a week or whatever. But then COVID happened, so obviously the borders got shut. And the first year, it was surprising because like I was actually kind of like, the rest of the world was just in chaos, and China was doing quite well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the nightlife business was doing very well.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That first year?
Yeah, like after the initial lockdown,
Right.
which only lasted for like, 6 weeks?
Not even.
By the middle
Yeah.
of March 2020.
We were good. Yeah.
Yeah, and everybody was going out, and it was great. And then we were watching the rest of the world just like, what do we do?
Yeah.
All that changed last year, of course.
Right.
But we'll get into that later. But or maybe it's a tired subject. But anyway, so now it's 3 years now since COVID started. So we haven't had a single international act
at all
come through yet.
So-
but we will soon.
Okay.
But there's still a lot of mess to clean up. Like it's still hard to get a visa. Flight prices
That's
are
what I
really
wanted to know. Yeah.
expensive. But I mean, like last week was the first like international act that I saw touring around China. But they went to Hangzhou and Shenzhen.
And not Shanghai.
Which is like, I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Because usually you got to do Shanghai and Beijing. Those are the big cities,
That is really weird.
Yeah, but it's cool. But I was like, oh, all right. How did
yeah.
you manage that? And,
Right.
I talked to the guys there, and they were like, it was a real pain in the ass to set it up, to get the visa and all this stuff, But in a couple months from now, I'm sure
It should be all open. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
be
sure
much
we'll be
easier.
fine. But so far, it's like, yeah.
That is really weird that they would do Shenzhen and Hangzhou.
Right. But it's just, it's just kind of random, whatever. But anyway, so, when the borders closed 2020, we had the situation where it was only DJs that are already in China, whether they're Chinese or foreigners living here.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting for the first year or year and a half, because I think we had gotten too focused on these internationals.
Gotcha.
And it's like, you've got to be the warm-up DJ every night,
And it's kind of
to
tough
where
on a local DJ to always be, the opening act.
Yeah, so everybody here got a chance to like really like be
Push their
the
stuff.
headliner
Right.
of the night, and then also go on tour around China. And another thing that surprised me is there was a lot of new clubs opening around the country.
That's shocking to me.
Yeah, and I did a tour of like 30 cities, and half of those cities were all new clubs, even second, third tier cities. And I was like, what is going on here? And like, that's
crazy.
This is during COVID, and I was telling people, in Europe and the States, whatever, like, actually there's a lot of new clubs opening here. They're like, what?
That's impossible.
It was interesting. But the problem is, after like a year and a half, it was all the DJs were playing every night, same city, and it was just like I think now everybody's like, okay, I've seen DJ ABC play,
everywhere.
He's every week he's playing in the same city, so now we need the internationals to come back to kind of like make it interesting again, Yeah.
That's super interesting, because I always assumed, and I've had the feeling in Shanghai for a while, that a lot of cool places closed and they just won't open up again.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of been my gut reaction for, I don't know, the last couple of years, is that a lot of the cool places are always kind of on like a not profitable to kind of profitable, like razor's edge.
Yeah.
And then COVID just shut a ton of them down. And then whatever comes back is often like that industry's version of McDonald's or Starbucks.
Yeah,
because those actually have money, right?
Well, literally, like I live near Fanyu
Yeah.
and there's a strip where like there's a Wagas there, but there used to be a lot of like local restaurants, mom and pops and stuff, and now it's Papa John's, and McDonald's, and
I feel
there's
that
2 Starbucks on the same block, and it's
Right.
like, oh, it's sad. This is one of the outcomes of COVID.
Yeah. I feel that really strongly in Shanghai because Shanghai is such high rent, right? It's so hard to like survive here. And a lot of businesses were on that edge. And those were the cool places.
Right.
Like the less cool places, well, they were making a lot of money, but like there's no flavor, no soul to them. It's just kind of like, oh, it's just McDonald's. It's fine. Yeah. And now they're all being replaced by these kind of big businesses. Right. And it's kind of, it's soul crushing to me. Right.
Yeah, exactly. When I saw this strip had become all big corporate places, I was just like, oh, it's going to be sad. I'm going to be like, showing a friend around town, and every time I walk down there, I'm going to be like, this street used to be.
I've said that a couple times already. But it's good that Dada's back, right? Like, I mean, now that, a couple of new old brands are coming back, it's good news to me, at least. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because nightlife, I'm shocked that you said that new nightclubs have been opening. Like, I remember during COVID, they had, what was it? What's that really famous one from New York? That's in Lujiazui?
Oh, is it One Oak?
One Oak. Yeah. Right. One Oak opened in Lujiazui. I don't even know if that's still alive.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. But like that came and I was like, I'm shocked that came.
I mean, I'm like, what?
Why?
Why now?
Yeah. I was shocked.
And that was before the opening. That was like last year when the lockdowns were still happening.
And I was like, that's not going to survive. Yeah. But I mean, who knows, right? Maybe nightlife is like important for this new generation.
Yeah. Well, the shocking thing, at least to me, is that, we got closed down in Beijing and Shanghai 5 times over the past,
at least,
during COVID, So we were like open for 2 months and then closed for 2 months and then open for 1 month, closed for 5 months, yada, yada,
Yikes.
So it was hard to like, hey, everybody, we're open again and get that momentum back. But every time during COVID, every time that we reopened, the business exploded. It was just like, everybody, we'd be turning people away. It was 1,000 people coming in. And I was like, oh my God, because people really wanted to
party,
come out again.
Yeah.
But this time, when COVID ended in December, and the borders are open and everything, the business has been trickling back.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought, everybody's gonna come out and celebrate. Right. But it's been a little bit slow actually, and it's not just our business. It's like around China.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Because I think, there's a few, like everybody got COVID in December.
Yeah, right.
And then everybody was like, we can finally go to Thailand or Sanya or whatever. So everybody went on because it dovetailed with the Chinese New Year. Right. So, yeah. So I think now it's the beginning of March. So I think we're going to start, hopefully, seeing people come back.
But now that you talk about it. So I was talking to friends about skiing. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of like local ski resorts started coming up during COVID and building up their system because you couldn't go to Japan to go ski.
Yeah.
So everyone went locally.
Yeah.
And those places all built up. But my friend says that once, the borders open and people can go to like an international or a really nice ski resort, a good amount of the higher end spenders are going to go abroad.
Right.
And they're all going to go, and the local ones are going to find it a little bit difficult to survive, at least at that price range. And I can imagine that people that really want to party, a bunch of them are going to try to go abroad and party for a little bit.
Sure, if you can go to Berlin, go for it.
Go for it. I mean, if you want to spend, go for it.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be maybe half a year where a ton of people are going to go out. And then they're going to be like, wow, that was really expensive. I'm probably not going to do that much. Yeah. And then they're going to stick around here and find good party places here again.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll normalize. It was it was kind of a surprise that we're, what is it, almost 3 months since the end of COVID. Right. What do you want to call it?
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, right. And it's still kind of trickling back. And
So what kind of people are trickling back in? Like, do you have a general feel?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of the same people, you know. It's a lot of younger Chinese compared to, 10 years ago, the crowds were a bit more diverse. Like I said, there was more foreigners.
Right.
But, a lot of the foreigners left before COVID.
Yeah.
That was already a trend. And then COVID just accelerated this exodus of foreigners, But
you see a lot of younger Chinese coming.
For sure. Yeah. That's like 99%.
Because I was telling you in the elevator, I have a theory about this, right? I think that I've said on my podcast a bunch of times that the youngest generation of Chinese, the 2000 babies, they don't know how to talk. Like, I've sat down and actually tried to have a face-to-face conversation with a couple of these Ling Ling Ho, and they're like, they don't know how to just hold a conversation.
Too much growing up on social media, looking at their phones.
After COVID, with all the masking, they can't read when you're happy or not. They can't read your facial cues. Yeah. And so they're almost robots to me. They feel very robotic when I talk to them.
Yeah.
And then I can imagine them being a little bit more comfortable in a nightclub.
Right.
Because you don't have to hold a conversation. You don't have to actually talk to the person next to you.
Yeah.
You can just kind of groove and party. And there's no facial features that you have to read.
Yeah.
And if you really want to talk, it's all on the phone.
Well, yeah, that's the irony is nightclubs are a great place for a shy person.
Yeah.
You can go and experience being with a lot of people and it's noisy and you can kind of try to dance or whatever.
Which is very counterintuitive when people...
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, when we first opened after the really hard lockdown, which was last summer, I think we opened around, let's say, July 1st. And it was 4 months lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was scary. Everybody, young or old, was completely inept at their social skills. They were fighting. There were people were walking in circles, talking to themselves, and it was just it was chaos. It was kind of scary. I was like, business was great then.
Okay.
And because everybody really wanted to go out. Yeah. That was ironically that was the busiest that we've ever been in our history. But last July and August.
Yeah.
But it was scary. Everybody was cuckoo,
A little bit. It had to be, right?
PTSD and all that,
I could totally imagine that. Because just because you haven't seen... A bunch of those people have never seen real people for months, right? They hadn't actually had human interaction for a while. And so it was just kind of getting back into that social situation. Just tough. I felt it too. Yeah. My first podcast back... I listened to that one now and I was like, what was I talking about? Just every conversation was stop. And I just had so many weird pauses.
Yeah.
It didn't work. You kind of have to learn those skills back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was traveling a lot because like I was saying, business around the country was good for the nightclubs. So I was touring as a DJ for most of the time.
Yeah.
I missed the Shanghai lockdown because I was accidentally in Beijing and I got stuck there just waiting for Shanghai to open. It was nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
But no, the interesting thing I noticed is when you would go to the airport or the train station or the hotel, of course you had to do all the blah, blah, blah with the health codes and all that. But a lot of the staff, they'd never seen a passport before.
Oh, geez.
They're like, well, what's this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a passport, there's my number. And they're like, well, what country? And they're like, how did you get here? And I'd be showing the stamp. I've been here for 3 years. I haven't left the borders, But it was, and I realized, I'm probably the only foreign person that's been to this hotel or this train station in a long time. Yeah. And the new staff are like, what's this?
Right.
So that was a really bizarre thing, that happened during COVID.
That's weird. So I want to ask about, I know this is a weird question, but wait staff. So previously at Dada, how much English training was for your wait staff? Because now you don't have to do it at all, almost. I'm seeing a lot fewer English competent wait staff now. And when you said that, that was immediately what I thought of. Because that was one thing that when we had Horizon, we had to do a lot of English training for our wait staff.
Oh, okay.
Because it was on the Bund. You
Oh,
had a
of
lot
course. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we spent a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
And now you kind of don't have to. I don't know how you guys are doing that.
Yeah, well, we have a few places on the Bund now.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how we had to adjust.
Yeah.
You know, during COVID and like now there's going to be foreigners coming back. And, you know, the thing that I'm really wondering about is that, you know, like a lot of especially restaurants, maybe not so much bars yet, but definitely restaurants. You had to scan the QR code and pay with WeChat or Alipay. Oh my God. Last month I was in Shenzhen and all the restaurants, there's no menu and you have to scan the QR code. You can only use WeChat Pay because guess whose headquarters are in Shenzhen.
Of course.
And then the next week I was in Hangzhou, and there you have to use Alipay because guess whose headquarters is there? And I was like, oh my God, you gangsters, you know.
But they're taking out their like area. I get it, their territory.
And I don't know. I don't want to sound like a Luddite, but like that, I really don't like that trend.
I hate it.
Because I really think part of, especially after this whole COVID experience of being locked down, part of the experience of going out to a restaurant.
Service.
Yeah, it's just being able to talk to somebody, even if it's like you're ordering
anything.
dumplings or whatever. Just that 30 seconds of interaction is so important. You know?
I agree.
And I'm almost starting to tear up. But now, like the wait staff is just like, no, scan the code.
Yeah.
Zero interaction, and then like you've already paid, so you just leave, and I want to like say, hey, thank you, you know. And it's just like it's gone now. So I'm like, I don't like this trend.
I'm 50 and 50 on it. I think places like McDonald's, it's okay. You know, I kind of let that through. But if you're paying anything above 100 RMB, I think you should be getting service, a little bit of service and human interaction, right? Because I started noticing that when hotels had robots, right? The service robot.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this thing? Like, I remember just seeing it and playing around with it, and it really freaked me out, right? Because they would just send the robot up, and it can take the elevator and everything. And I was like, so I never have to talk to a human? Like, it's weird. I wasn't a fan. And then it started happening in restaurants as well, where they were just like, scan. I was like, I just want to talk to a waiter. Like, what if the expat or whoever is new and can't read Chinese? Like, a lot of the WeChat stuff is not in English.
Right. And now, and a lot of the menus used to always have pictures or poorly translated to English menus. But now a lot of them are just like Chinese because there's been no foreign customers, so they haven't needed to. But now that the borders are open,
it is going to be weird.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of like, it's going to be a hassle. But also, it's really hard to set up payment systems on Alipay and WeChat. You need a Chinese bank and yada yada. So somebody who's here for a weekend,
there's no way. Yeah,
how are they gonna?
It's really difficult.
You know, it's gonna be somebody's gonna have to figure this. I don't
know.
Shanghai likes to accept cash, so like they'll figure out a way. But I'm like, right now, I'm like, how is this gonna work out?
I have no idea. That is really interesting. Because my parents are coming. My parents are potentially coming at maybe the end of the month. And so I know that my dad used to have an Alipay account, but I don't know if it still works.
Right.
Like, it's been 4 years. I don't know if he has to update anything or if he has to do something, but that's going to be difficult. Like, just for normal travelers, coming through is going to be...
You're going to be paying for everything.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Well, my dad likes to go out on his own and just kind of like... kind of get lost and then find his way back.
Yeah, because like right now, he couldn't even buy a bottle of water at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
It's just...
How do you
do it? You know?
Yeah. So I'm a little bit nervous about that as well. And so any DJs that are coming in, are you gonna have like a phone for them to kind of just like get around, or I don't know what's gonna take.
Yeah, we might have to have a burner phone.
Yeah,
man.
like a burner phone.
Yeah,
like a Dada phone,
it's
and
like,
then
you've got 500 kwai on there,
right?
You know, like,
kind of get around.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be one way to deal with it. Yeah. They'll probably eventually. I mean, like by summer, I'm guessing it's gonna be like tons of tourists coming, and I mean, I hope so.
I hope so too.
And there's gonna have to be some way where you can get like a temporary account or whatever. I'm sure they'll figure it out soon enough. But it's gonna be weird in the beginning. Like it's just not prepared for it.
Yeah. So I want to go and take a couple steps back.
Okay.
Go through your time in Shanghai and in Shanghai nightlife. Like, what was your favorite time in Shanghai? Is there like a particular time period that really stood out for you? Other than, I guess, right when you got started, because that's amazing. That story's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the World Expo was a real highlight.
Yeah.
Because it was just crazy. I mean, the business was great, and it was just, there was this full-on international influx. It was really fun. Yeah. I mean, I get a little nostalgia for the 2005, 2007, those days, because it was just very raw and very DIY.
Right.
There was,
What was special about it?
There was a strong community at the time, because we at Dada, and I did a lot of nights at Shelter and these other clubs too. It was we're doing all different styles of music.
Right.
It's house and techno or hip hop or reggae, blah, blah, blah. But at the time, the community was so tight knit that the kids that like the techno, they'd also go to the underground hip hop show or vice versa, because that's the cool thing to do this week.
Right.
And now that's just there's like 20 techno parties and 100 hip hop parties, and everybody kind of, now as the scene's kind of grown, everybody kind of sticks to their style, their genre, whatever. And there's less of that intermingling. Yeah. In Beijing, you still get a lot more intermingling, which I really like that, because you go out to a club and see punk rock kids and hip hop kids and metal kids and techno kids all intermingling. But in Shanghai, people are more kind of tunnel vision. Yeah.
Why do you think it's like that in Beijing?
It's always been like that. And I don't know. It's just the vibes are different there. So
that's interesting, because I do agree that that's what it's like in Shanghai. I think it's like that. Everyone tries to feel like they're special and that their niche is the best. Yeah. And that's always bothered me. It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu. Right? I don't know if you do jiu-jitsu, but
no.
There's this kind of divide between the guys that put on the kimono and the gi, and then they have the no gi, is more
they're like the nerds.
Yeah, without the kimono, it's more MMA-ish.
I see.
But there's this is better. No, that's better. And there's kind of that. It's kind of annoying to me.
Oh, okay.
But I feel that in Shanghai a lot. And I don't know, just it shows up in music. It shows up in a lot of shows up in restaurants, I think.
For sure.
Yeah. And so you're always everyone's kind of got that this is always at the top, and then I don't know. It does kind of bother me. It was interesting that you said it doesn't appear as much in Beijing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel it's just I always thought it was just a Chinese thing.
No, it's very different per city. Yeah. Because you've traveled around China a bit, and it can be kind of depressing because a lot of the cities look the same. But there's some differences. The food,
sure,
and the nightlife can be quite different. Per city, and that's part of the fun of going to those.
What's your favorite city to party in?
Well,
you can't say Beijing and Shanghai because you have clubs there. That's not fair.
Well, honestly, Beijing is my favorite. Okay. But I don't know, it's changing so fast. So if you asked me 3 years ago, I would say Changsha. I love Changsha. It's just great food. It's 24/7. Yeah. We always go and have 3 dinners in one night because I really like Wuhan. Yeah, Wuhan is a lot of fun. It's you can play any kind of music there. Yeah. And people are like, yeah, cool, let's go. Woo.
I like that. Yeah.
Whereas you had to be a little more careful in Shanghai or Hangzhou or some other cities.
Just because they're more picky here? And more cliquey?
Yeah, but also you're spoiled for choice here.
Gotcha.
In Shanghai, you can go to 100 different,
Yeah.
At night you can go to like a quiet cocktail bar. There's like 100 of them, or a wine bar, or yada yada. All the different kinds of
They don't appreciate
clubs.
it
There's
anymore.
DJs in restaurants. There's DJs in cafes and shoe shops. And So it's like you can afford to be more choosy and jaded.
Yeah.
About it.
That
whereas in Wuhan, you're like,
this is all I got.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that in a way. Maybe it's not so good for the consumer because maybe they'd like a little more choice, but they don't realize that they're getting it's a good vibe when you have a smaller scene,
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's more of a close community. Everyone kind of knows each other. Everyone tries to help each other out. I like that a lot too.
Yeah, for sure.
And it bothers me sometimes when you're in Shanghai and everyone's kind of a little bit more cutthroat, a little bit more out for themselves.
Right. And also like the high rent and expense. You have to be more careful as a business owner. Like, we can't do this crazy idea because it's not going to be good for business. So you have to be more conservative about what you do.
Yeah. But like, it didn't used to be like this. Like, I remember coming to Shanghai, and it was a long time ago. I guess when people felt like they had a little bit more money. But like, I remember going. It was when I studied abroad, but I went to like clubs where they were just throwing the foam out of the ceiling. They were doing like
Road Jam.
Yeah, bingo.
Yeah, there you go. Road Jam.
And I was like, what am I doing here?
Yep.
And it was crazier time. Like now I worry that all of these clubs kind of are the same. I get that a lot. Like a lot of my friends will be like, why did you enjoy your time previously as opposed to now? And I was like, because everyone tried something back then. Like everyone had their own thing and they tried to do something unique. And now everyone kind of knows what makes money and they're all on a really narrow path.
Yeah.
And
like
no one's doing anything really cool.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that right now because in the past few years, a lot of the nightclubs, they've all got the same look. It's a black box.
Yep.
There's a constant fog machine on, and then there's the minimal red lasers.
Sure.
And which is fine, but there's like 100 of them now. So we've been resistant. We want to we got to do something different. Because what's the point of having 101 of the same places? But the problem is that the young generation that they've gone out for the first time at these clubs, they're a little bit bored at my place because they're like, where's the lasers? And I'm used to the fog machine and all this. And so we're kind of trying to figure out how do we compromise, keep your
look and feel.
Yeah, our identity, but also, we need to have the young people come in and appreciate it. So it's tough. It's a hard struggle because people they have these certain expectations now. So
when we had Horizon, like we also put a little bit of pressure on the DJs to like bring their own crowd, right? Because the DJ kind of educates their crowd on their own anyways. And then bringing your own crowd, kind of you get the DJ's crowd to come in and they're already educated on what to expect, which I like.
Yeah.
But I also feel like putting so much pressure on DJs, it was something that I was talking to Al about, is just that then DJs become like their own little brand and then they're like, they're a little bit pretentious and that's also not what I want, So it's kind of hard to find that balance where you're like, the DJ is not this like cult leader, but also, but also brings in a cool new crowd for the club.
Yeah.
I don't know how people balance that because that's tough. Like as a DJ, you have this following after 20 some years.
Yeah.
But like.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's our entire existence really is we would have different promoters do nights.
Yeah. Oh, actually that works. I didn't even know that.
So like it's different music and different and they're responsible for promoting and and the money that they get is how many people they bring and this kind of thing. And so
what are the cool promoters?
But now a lot of clubs are not doing that.
Yeah.
They're just like, here's the set fee, come and play.
Right.
And it's like I have mixed feelings about it.
Okay.
Because it does feel a little bit weird to like spam your friends every week if you're a DJ. It's like But on the other hand, it's a lot of the DJs are just like they come in, do the set, and leave. There's no like vibe. There's no community, and so I have mixed feelings about it. I think more of like a 50-50 thing where the club's half responsible for promoting it and the DJs should also do a little bit too,
sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's just it was always like that until quite recently, at least for our niche of nightlife.
Right.
I'm sure the really big mainstream clubs, they do all the promotion and they
probably,
a lot of them just have a fake DJ. It's just pretending,
I always worry about that for like DJs.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want to say it's so easy to like fake, but it's pretty easy to fake.
Yeah.
Right? 90% of people can't tell the difference.
Yeah. And maybe it doesn't matter. I'm sure they're going to have like AI doing this stuff
I hope
soon
not.
enough,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm considering a career change. No, no, it'll be fine. But yeah.
Because they've like I was talking about previously, I enjoy, and let me ask you first. What's your ideal night out? Describe that.
A lot of Negronis, man. No, I mean, I like to like start out with a nice dinner with friends and have a good conversation and like a long, slow dinner.
Right.
And then, start out with like some nice cocktails and,
we have gotten old.
Yeah.
I get you.
But, and then like, the club that you go to should, maybe start with slower music and have like the music should be a little bit quieter so people can meet people.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, man, and talk and, catch up with old friends and yada, yada. And then slowly
turn it up.
People get drunker and the music gets louder and faster. And then, you dance, hopefully.
Yeah. That's
so,
a pretty good,
yeah.
That's mostly how I feel about it as well. I think that you start off a little bit slow and you have that conversation side, but as you get maybe, either more intoxicated, your group gets more intoxicated, everyone kind of just wants to dance.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect night, right?
Yeah.
I like that because I've always found that nightclubs are more unique than any other place that you can go to because you can't talk, right? Because it's actually almost all body language at the end of the night. And it's something that I think humans have kind of lost, mostly because of phones. Yeah,
you have to adjust to the environment. You know? Like last year, I was dry for 4 months. I didn't drink, so it was really awkward.
Yeah,
especially in the beginning. Like there was no problem if I'm at home or just having dinner with friends or whatever, but going out to a nightclub and not drinking in the beginning was
weird.
Like it was really awkward and everybody was loud and obnoxious. Yeah. And like, why do people do this? But after like a month of it, I became comfortable again. You just have to adjust to it and get used to it. Yeah.
There's this stat, I don't know if you've heard it, but at least in the West, that the younger generation is having less sex. I don't know if you've heard this, but
I wouldn't know.
but
that's wrong.
I kind of feel it here as well.
Yeah.
Like I think that they're just, like I said, they're a little bit more robotic. But part of it they said was because people are drinking less.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us, our existence, we owe to our parents.
To a couple of drinks. And I see that here. I don't know if it's happening at the clubs as well though. And like, are drink sales down? Are drinks less popular here?
Generally speaking, that's been the trend.
Yeah.
And that's global. It's not just China.
Right.
That was happening before COVID.
Really?
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, like, we used to, like, work really hard to sell a door ticket for 30 kwai.
Right.
And now it's 100 kwai, no problem. Because I think the younger generation, they're okay they're comfortable with like spending 100 kwai on a
When I
on a
started, I
door
wasn't okay.
ticket.
Yeah.
And and it's also just easier with the phone than it
Right.
is to pull money out of your wallet and stuff. Maybe it's a psychological. It's not just nightlife. It's probably
everywhere.
every like buying stuff on Taobao.
For sure.
Be careful of drunk Taobao shopping. That's how I got this. The seller was like, "So what do you want on it?" I was like, "No, just
write your
just leave it. It's hilarious." I don't know if they can see it, but
Yeah. Your logo text here.
yeah. So and I was really drunk on Taobao,
Yeah.
so I was like, "Oh." But anyway, so yeah, the spending habits have changed. Drinking less, but they're okay to buy a ticket at the door, and that's a very generalization.
But do you find that then they're less willing to have fun? Like, are they having less fun because they're less drunk? Because I know a lot of friends that go out clubbing, and if they don't have 3 or 4 drinks in them, they don't dance. Like, they just don't dance.
Right.
And I've seen that like previously when I was clubbing.
Yeah.
In my 20s when I was here, like a lot of people need a lot of drinks before they get on the dance floor.
Right.
And now that you're selling less drinks, is it less fun?
I would say like the actual behavior in the club hasn't really changed much from 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things, especially in the last few years, is people are going home a lot earlier. So we used to go till 5 or 6 in the morning routinely. And now it's like 3 o'clock is usually lights off.
Really?
Or lights on in our case. But,
Yeah.
And I think that's partly a millennial generation thing.
Yeah.
But also I think it's just people's behaviors changed during COVID. We all had to wake up at 7 in the morning and do a test every day, for a while there.
Yeah.
And maybe people are drinking less generally. Yeah, they are, that's one of the things we're like,
so
this
are
is
there
not
still
so good
after
for
hours
business.
places to go?
There are, but it's not like it was.
Yeah. I remember
5-10 years ago.
What was that place right next to Shelter? Shiva.
Oh God, Shiva Lounge.
Shiva Lounge was open till like 8 in the morning sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Like sun was way up, and we were just coming out of there, and I was like, "What is this?" Like, that was a mess.
Yeah, it was a fun mess.
Yeah,
so.
that was a fun mess. Correct. Because I remember like when I first started clubbing, I was clubbing in New York City, and Pacha NYC is open till 10 in the morning sometimes. And you're just like, oh, we are going out and everyone's already been at work for a while. Right. And we're just coming out of the club. Like,
it's a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm living life.
And then I got to Shanghai and I was like, oh, Shiva Lounge is open. It's the same hours. So like I can go hang out there. And the music was good. I was happy to like go there.
Yeah.
And now like I go out and I see a lot of these kids, calling it a night and just being like, oh, I'm in the cab on the way home. Like, it's 2. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are you really clubbing at this point?
Yeah.
When do they start?
Because I'm just like, they start kind of the same time. It's just
11-ish.
Yeah. And it's like the peak time has just gotten shorter.
Right.
Does
that affect the DJ? Like the DJ set has to be shorter.
Because like I've been doing this for years, so I still have. It's like I'm an old dog, new tricks kind of thing. It's I was playing last weekend in Beijing, and I when I play, I usually do the whole night.
Yeah.
So I'm used to playing 8-hour sets, and I'm prepared for it, and I have kind of like I'm going to do this for an hour, and then I'm going to go here for an hour, yada yada.
That's awesome.
And I'm kind of used to this routine of how the night progresses, and it was super busy night, really fun. Everybody was just having a great time. My set was great, if I can say so.
Nice.
And I looked up at 2 a.m. and it was great. And then at 3 it was empty.
Jeez.
And I was like, did I make a mistake? Did I play the wrong song? Is there something wrong with the sound system? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I talked to the bar manager and he's like, no, it's just like that every night now. And I was like, oh, wow.
There's all this stuff I wanted to play.
Exactly. Yeah. I went home just kind of like devastated. Like, I didn't get to play this and that. I've been planning it for like weeks, really excited about these new songs I had to play out. And I was just like...
They never got to hear it.
Yeah, just crestfallen, just like, oh. And, it felt like we got shut down prematurely. But I had to readjust. If that's the new norm, I'm just going to have to play the songs faster. Or something.
Yeah, because kids are like... Maybe they're just into that TikTok mode, right? They only want like short, quick, I'm in and I'm out.
That could be part of it too. Shorter attention spans.
They just can't handle like, I want to be here for a while. Like I'm a big podcast guy. Like as you can tell, like I listen to 4 or 5 hour podcasts, no problem. I just have it in my ear all day. Yeah, and I have no problem with that. Yeah, but then I'll send it to like a friend and they'll be like, "This is 4 hours." I don't have 4 hours. Like, you do, but like...
I'm that annoying guy who's like, you got to check out this podcast, like...
And they're just like, I don't have 4 hours for you. I don't know what to... I don't know how to tell you that this is worth your 4 hours. How do you tell these young kids that you don't have to pay attention the whole time, but like have it with you, like enjoy the ride. Right. And I think they forgot that enjoy the journey kind of mentality, I guess, or they never had it, maybe. Yeah. So I don't know how to get them onto that train. You have any ideas?
I think you should give up.
Oh God, I hope not.
No, I don't know, but maybe as they get older, they'll appreciate longer form. I mean, I was kind of like that too when I was younger. Like. No. This summer I read War and Peace. Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't have done that in my 20s. Yeah. I mean, the lockdown helped. Yeah.
But I remember, like, when podcasts first came out, like, very, very, very long ago, DJs would put their whole set on a podcast. And it was just like a 3-hour thing where they put their whole set on. And it would be, every couple months they'd put out a podcast that was just their set at some club. And that was like a thing. And you can just spend your whole, the next 3 hours just listening to their set. Right. And it was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed that. And that's kind of disappeared. But, like, now people just put out, like 3-4 minute clip. That's a track that's done.
Well, yeah. I mean, you get that dopamine hit or whatever it's called from the TikTok thing. It's just, it's harder to convince people, like, listen to this for 3 hours. That's why I'm surprised at, like, the success of like Joe Rogan, for example, because like those will go on 3 or 4 hours.
But I think it's us. Like, I think it's all older people. Yeah. I don't know if these young people are like listening to 3 hours.
Well, maybe because of his level of fame, you'll have a large number of younger people. Maybe. But maybe the proportion is different. I don't know.
I don't get that either. But like he also does like clips. He has to do clips.
True.
Right?
Maybe more people are watching the highlight clips on YouTube, the 3 minutes.
To be honest, I can't pull friends to go watch the UFC anymore. Like I used to be like, oh, let's all go to Cages. Let's go to like the Shed and we can go watch the UFC. And a lot of people won't do it. They'll be like, I just want to watch the highlights. It's like,
oh, wow.
You're missing out. Like the whole fight is very important. No. Yeah. I'm just going to watch the highlights of 3 fights.
Yeah. I'm a big baseball fan. Yeah. I listen to almost every Giants game.
That's incredible.
Because it's like, it's my morning routine now. Because the games are live at like, they usually start at like 9 a.m. China time or whatever. And the games go on like 3-4 hours. Yeah. But it's been this, I don't know if you followed, but this year they've changed a lot of the rules to make the games shorter because young people are not into baseball.
I was never into baseball.
What's wrong with you, man?
As an American, I just never got into it. Because I would sit, it's just, to me, it's always been boring. Okay. Like, I don't understand the value of a guy hitting a ball, I know, don't shake your head, but I never understood it.
Yeah, okay.
It's the American pastime, and I just found that it was very...
Yeah, but they're changing it. They've made the bases bigger. Okay. So you'll have more steals and stuff, and then there's like a pitch count now. Like it has, I think it's like, I don't know, 12 seconds. Yeah. So the pitcher can't like
Right.
stand there looking at the stars or whatever, you know. So it's gonna change the game a lot. But it's this kind of thing is happening in all sorts of
Just to make it more watchable.
entertainment or yeah. So I'm sure it's with the UFC.
as well,
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, obviously. Like, I enjoyed original UFC where there's no time limit, no rounds. Like, people fought until someone tapped or was knocked out. Like,
you should just give your friends some like Adderall or something, and like maybe they'll have a longer attention span.
I don't know if I want like an Adderalled out friend next to me, like the whole time just freaking out,
Right.
because he'd never talk to me, just focus on the TV.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be crazy. Is that like a thing for like the new kids? Like, I don't know. I bet
Well,
you
yeah. I
these
mean,
young
there's a
kids
lot
are-
more like ADHD.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
Kids and I don't know, whatever they're taking Adderall or whatever.
But I can imagine like someone getting Adderalled up and going to the club too. Like that. I wonder if that's ever going to be like a party drug. I could see that.
Probably.
Probably.
I
I don't know anymore. I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm probably at about time. Again, tell us, Dada, Shanghai. Where else are you guys located? Look at the camera. Give me all you got.
Okay. So yeah, the Dada clubs are in Shanghai, Beijing, and Kunming, and we might do some other cities in the future. But I think we're gonna take it easy this year, and
I think so. That's probably that's a good move.
yeah, just see how things kind of unpack after the COVID mess. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Everyone go check them out. Where's the one in Shanghai?
It's on Yan'an Shilu.
Yeah, in Shilu. Okay.
Yeah,
Dada,
near
Shanghai.
Dingshilu.
Near DingXi Road. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 大家 bye bye.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Bye bye.
Do, 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 do.